This video is going to show you how MSCI's ESG scores don't measure what you think they do and why that matters for socially responsible investing. By some estimates, MSCI's ESG ratings underpin 60% of all investments in ESG or sustainable funds. But these ESG ratings probably aren't measuring what you think. Today's video is going to show you how with two examples. First though, there's some important context. MSCI has a bank of 35 key issues related to companies' environmental, social, and governance risk. Feel free to pause the video here and read over these issues. The thing is, MSCI's ESG scores don't evaluate a company on all 35 key issues. They only look at a few for each industry. How do they choose, though, which issues are of concern to each industry? According to their methodology, they use a quantitative model that looks at ranges and averages of externalities for key impacts of each industry. Let's use the energy sector as an example to see which key issues the model thinks are important. Energy includes all the sub-industries of oil, gas, coal, and consumable fuel. This is MSCI's ESG industry materiality map. It shows which issues factor into industry's ESG score. Right now, because I haven't selected anything yet, all issues are in gray. For this example, I'm just going to focus on the issues for the environment. Before I select energy and it shows us which issues it thinks are important, I want to give you a minute to think about which issues you think are important. If you want, pause the video here and think about which issues under the environmental pillar you think are important to the energy sector. One thing to note, there are two key issues that might seem similar. Carbon emissions are the carbon intensity of companies' operations and their efforts to manage them. Product carbon footprint is the carbon intensity of the company's products. Now, here's what issues MSCI's model considers important for the energy sector's environmental score: carbon emissions, biodiversity and land use, toxic emissions and waste, opportunities in clean tech, and water stress. Now, more importantly, here are some of the issues that the score doesn't consider. Product carbon footprint. MSCI does not factor in all the gas burned by traditional cars. The sector's vulnerability to climate change isn't considered. Raw material sourcing isn't considered. And opportunities in renewable energy are not considered. Do you think that's crazy? I do too. Are you wondering why MSCI's ESG ratings don't include the carbon emissions of fuel? Well, there's an answer, and it's not that there's something wrong with their model. Their model is measuring exactly what it's supposed to. I'm going to tell you what's happening with the model, but first, let's look at another sector to see how weird these ESG scores really can get. Let's look at real estate. When MSCI gives the E score for companies in the real estate sector, the issues it considers important are opportunities in green building and water stress. This is even though real estate development is the second largest contributor to biodiversity loss and probably the most important sector for land use, second to agriculture. Also, the ratings don't consider carbon emissions, even though concrete and cement have huge carbon footprints. And both of these metrics that aren't considered, biodiversity loss and carbon emissions, there is also opportunity to decarbonize and develop in ways that are friendly to the natural environment. It makes me wonder what is even considered in opportunities in green building. It looks like opportunities in green building primarily assesses companies' exposure to environmental building regulations. That's a little disappointing. So why doesn't MSCI's ESG score consider crucial issues for both of these sectors? When I first heard about ESG investing, I was excited because I thought it would hold companies accountable for their impacts on the environment and society. But that is not the case, at least not the way the scores are being done now. According to MSCI's website, what its scores actually measure are the risk that the world poses to the company, not the company's impact on the world. Here's MSCI's introduction video to ESG investing, which you can find on the ESG page of their website. MSCI explains that their metrics capture risk and opportunities not considered in traditional financials. And those risks are to the company, not to the world. If this seems incredible to you, stay tuned for my next video where I break down the insanity even further. That's all for today, and thanks for watching.